And that's right with my people, so I can give that to them. But let me come on around because I'm good at these. Come
Okay,
on.
good.
All right.
Because
fairly
I'm not.
good.
So good for you.
I'm fairly good at these things. Okay.
There we
Hello.
go.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me
I
do
know,
that
right?
because I put
Yeah,
so much
gotta get
hairspray
you
up in
on.
here. Ooh, to try and. Ah, here we go. Everybody, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me do it this way. Now, everybody. Oh yeah, take that off.
I'm like, I forgot I had that on.
Now, let's try and go up this way because everybody looks smaller this
You want
way.
me to stand up?
Yeah, everybody looks smaller. See?
Whoops, I moved. Sorry.
That's okay. All right.
You
All
take
right.
pictures like
I'll
me.
send
I
it to
take
you.
like 15.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
you
One
throw
is
them
gonna be
away.
right.
Marlon, are we ready?
Oh,
He has a whole
I have
group
to
of
share my information because I want some pictures.
Okay. Excuse me, I'm going to step away from this for a second. You go
That's
on and do
fine.
your thing.
So, are we ready, Marlon?
Oh,
My screen is blank.
okay.
You're rolling. Okay, we're rolling. Okay. Y'all ready? We're rolling. Is that the right screen?
You want to come? Come on.
all mics are
Yeah,
on,
come
right?
over here.
Hey, Daryl. Hey, everybody. I am about to do now. What am I doing here? Inspiration 1390 in Chicago.
Yeah,
Hour
the
of
hour,
inspiration.
the hour of
13:90
inspiration.
a.m.
The hour of inspiration.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. So I'm not phone testing. Hey, Rico. I am. Would you explain what I'm doing because I put us on StreamYard and these beautiful ladies and introduce yourselves.
You see my hand. This is Stacy Miner, CEO of Sweet Potato Patch.
This
Hi,
is
guys.
Reverend Yulisa, and I am here to support and co-host 1390 Hour Inspiration Dream That Vision Board Workshop as well.
We have to bring you
CEO.
on to do my good news one morning on the Santita Jackson Show.
Okay. Sharon Pulliam, gospel recording artist and speaker. And I'm so happy to have Miss Santita Jackson. What an honor. We're about to interview her. So you guys stay tuned.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but here we go.
Why?
Oh boy, whenever people want to talk, I'm like, okay,
me
just want to
right
talk about. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
You said rolling.
Okay, we're good. And shout out to
So should
Barry
I-
Batson, your cousin.
Yes, shout out to my cousin. Hey, Barry.
Okay, hello everyone. It's going to be 30 minutes of inspiration for me with me. And I think it is, I'm very excited, very honored to be here with these beautiful women of God as we try to share with you something that might inspire you and make your day
Yes.
just a little bit better, just a little bit brighter.
Just
So
a
take
little
it
bit
away,
better.
Sharon.
Just a little bit. Stacey, no singing right now. Okay. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Hour of Inspiration. This is your host, Sharon Pulliam, and I have my amazing co-host here, Stacey Miner and Yulisa Wright.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Sharon Pulliam Show, 1390 Hour Inspiration.
Amen, Yulisa. We have the amazing Santita Jackson here with us, and we're connected through my cousin Barry Batson, the pilot, and
We were in high school together. Whitney
Yes.
Young back in high school. So I remember him when he was just a mischievous one with my brother Jonathan.
right.
Jonathan's going to Congress. He's a pilot.
I
I was on my way to Canada. And as I'm getting off the plane, apparently the people, the stewardesses, the flight attendants had been talking about me. I don't know why. And they went to this black guy. No, I don't, because I don't.
Santita Jackson.
No,
Okay, cool.
no. I mean, I don't have a placard on my chest when and
No, I know.
people
Familiar face, so.
no, but well, maybe people know me and I don't.
Okay.
But
There you go.
I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up famous. So let me just say that.
Yeah.
Our parents have been in service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the death threats that our father dealt with every day and we dealt with as a family, it kind of changes. You're not celebrities, you're servants.
Yeah, servant leaders for sure.
But when I got off the plane, he stepped out of the cockpit. I said, if I'd known it was you, I still would have been on the plane. Because that's my Barry.
Awesome. So that's the backstory.
That's right.
Yeah, and how Santita and I are connected. So we're going to open up the floor and just let her tell us some good stuff about what she's doing in the community continuously, as she always does. She is definitely a servant leader, and she has been that probably since she was born. Came under her father, the amazing Reverend Jesse Jackson, and her amazing mom. Her mom, I don't want to take anything away from Reverend, but her mom is as powerful. Lady Jackson is amazing. She made me feel really good one time. I had the first encounter with her. But Santina, I want to give you the floor.
Well, you know what the thing is, people often ask me what it is like to be Reverend Jesse Jackson's daughter. And I say I'm Reverend and Mrs. Jesse Jackson's daughter. My parents will be married 60 years come December 31st.
Amazing.
And they met at North Carolina A&T State University, HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been together through the thin, the thick, the thin, the thin, the thick, the thin. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's very important, particularly in an age in which many Black kids say marriage is for white people. You remember that best-selling book?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That it's important to put that forward. That is my background. Mm-hmm. And it is said that Queen Elizabeth said of Diana, Princess of Wales, that she said, if I'd really understood her, I would never recommend that my son married her, because her parents, she said she never saw a marriage resolve. Mm-hmm. Her parents' marriage broke up when she was very young, so she never knew how to work through the tough times. Right? Mm-hmm. And so I've seen that. And I've seen, I'm glad that my father's man enough to have married someone very powerful.
Yeah.
But he never would have married. He never would have been who he
accomplished,
unless he had someone who was trying to be who she needed to be.
That helped me, right?
Well, not just it helped me. Remember, they have the missing rib. We don't. Mm-hmm. God made us last. After God made us, he was done. Mm-hmm. Said, I've perfected. Mm-hmm. Now, we've messed up along the way. Mm-hmm. Playing with God in the Garden of Eden. Mm-hmm. Defying God and telling men to defy God. So, and we still do that. We do that with men and their wives. We play a lot of games instead of using our power to be the virtuous women that God constructed us to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important for me to bring my mother's narrative, because without her, as my father would say, we were on a campaign bus. It was toward the end of the 88 presidential campaign. Mm-hmm. And he was being interviewed by one of the persons in the press corps. They said, as you reflect on the campaign, what do you see? Two things happened on that campaign that really moved me profoundly about my parents. He said, sometimes it's been me, my wife, our children, the staff, and our supporters against the world. And he put that in that order. Mm. Then we were coming out of Texas several months before. The Super Tuesday super primary was designed to take him out of the presidential campaign. After his 84 campaign, which was so successful and shocking, the Democratic National Committee came up with a way to take him out of the campaign, to kill his campaign. Well, as the Lord would have it, he finished first and second in every state in the South. So Al Gore had to leave. Paul Simon had to leave. And Reverend became the front runner. So we were leaving Texas, because there were there were primaries all over the South. all over the South that particular night. And as we were heading back to Chicago, we're all cramped up in all these seats because people have given us these sombreros and all of these presents. And so you had to give up a seat or two or three or four for all the presents that people were giving you. Think cakes, stuff they wanted you to take home. And so I'm curled up like a fetus in my seat. And my mother was doing her needlework and she touched my father on the arm because he was sitting just behind me. And she said, "Boy, you did it." And when she said that, it almost made me cry because I thought about these two kids at North Carolina A&T, both of them born out of wedlock. Both of them, my father talked his way into A&T after having had a horrible experience at the University of Illinois. And Dr. Sam Proctor, Reverend Dr. Sam Proctor said, "I see something in you. You need to come in on a full scholarship." He left a scholarship at the University of Illinois and came to one there. And just to compress the story, and my mother came out of high school a year early, and her mother just was desperate to escape poverty and pushed her into North Carolina A&T. That's where she got to school, and that was it. And I thought about them in that moment. I said, they came together with no parents that they could call for any money, no portfolio, no name, but a willingness to serve. And my mother said, "Boy, you did it." She said, look. And he said, "No, we did it." My father kept writing. And she said, "No, you did it." And he said, "No, we did it." And before she could say it again, he took her hand. He said, "Jackie, you and I did this." So when I see them, for all the crests and valleys, that's what I see. And so every death threat that was called into the house that she absorbed, she never told them to stop. She told them, "You keep on going."
Wow.
And if something happens to you, which is why we all earned scholarships to college, if something happens to you, we're going to make it. And so that's part of my mother's story. So I always feel it important, but I think it's important for all women.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm someone who subscribed to Harlequin romances as a child. Stupid, right? I get these 4 books every month, and everyone was virginal, but she was fighting with this man that she loved, and he loved her, but they couldn't figure it out. I just thought it was so wonderful. Same plot every month, and I got 4 of those books. And my mother said, "This is the stupidest child on earth, but I'm going to tolerate her." She said, "I want you to know I've been very difficult. I've been very hard on you and your sister Jackie. You want to know why?" I said, "Why?" "Please do tell." She said, "Because a woman has got to hold up her family." She said, "This whole idea, this lie that you all have going, that you believe that some man is coming to pick you up and rescue you," she said, "Honey, you rescue him." And that's why God trusted you enough to carry a baby, not him. You. So don't buy into the lie that women are weak. She said, the strongest creature on earth is a woman.
Yes, it is.
Her body can expand to accommodate another human being and contract and carry all of y'all. She said, "That's what I've been doing with you."
That's
So,
wisdom right there.
Absolutely. And and you wanted me to talk, and so that's
Right. I
Yeah,
definitely
I'm
want you to talk.
sharing.
But I also want you, I love your parents, and you are the generation that's carrying the torch. The baby boomers, we're carrying the torch, right? And we're having to mentor the younger generation, the millennials, etc. So I want you to talk about you and what you're doing as well.
Well, the thing is, I produce television. I'm on and radio. I've been a pundit on Fox National News. I host a morning drive show on WCPT. It's a syndicated show. It's the largest progressive talk radio station in the country. And I also executive produce Reverend Jackson's nationally syndicated show. I produce it, research it, host it, as I do for my other shows. And I also have some other projects in the hopper for 2023. And I'm a singer as well.
Yes,
I did the national anthem at the Clinton inauguration. And
Weren't
I sang.
you classically trained?
Yeah, I worked for Roberta Flack who is a classically
Yes.
trained musician.
Mhm.
And if you're going to work for her, I was offered a contract by
Mhm.
Dick Griffey,
Mhm.
who had Babyface and all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
people
yeah.
at the time.
Mhm.
Now I'd known Mr. Griffey. He's since passed on. I'd known him practically all of my life, but he never knew I could sing.
Yeah.
So I went out to California and did this little demo, and he kept me out there a week. He did not want to hear the demo. He said, I could not imagine having to call your father, my brother beloved, and tell him that his daughter has no talent at all. So
That's
he
terrible.
yeah, well, he heard my
True.
demo, and I had
Mhm.
no confidence, but he said, I think you got, something great to work with
Mhm.
here. But I decided to go work for Miss Flack. And my father said, I think she'll be the better option because she's a teacher.
Mhm.
And she approaches music as a teacher,
Yeah.
because Luther Vandross had just left her.
Mhm.
Maybe no, he left her at the beginning of the decade. In fact, she pushed him out of her group and got him his contract at Atlantic.
Mhm.
And so singing is something that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
But I found that it wasn't quite enough for me.
Right. Right.
For
Right.
me, for me. In fact, I just got a text from a friend of mine who was playing at an event last night where my father was, and said, "I wish you'd been here to sing this song." And it's the first song I learned by Donny Hathaway, For All We Know, that Miss Flack played the piano on. But I needed more ways to express myself.
Yeah.
And they used to tease me when I was on the road, when I was one of her backup singers, and they said, "You will have the Santita Jackson show. You you should host something." And so that part of my life has been evolving too. What I like about being on a political station is that we have been politically involved, but we're not politicians.
Mhm.
And that's important to note. I'm from the church.
Yeah.
Jesus, as we talk about this season, I don't say happy holidays. I say Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
And then I tell
Yes.
people, for all my brothers and sisters of other faiths, may the spirit of Christmas be with you in this
Wow.
holy season.
That's good.
Because I'm a committed Christian, and it's something that I'm working toward. I can't say I'm Christian yet because I'm not Christ-like.
Mhm.
There's too many flaws that I see in myself.
Mhm.
I heard Maya Angelou say that once. I said, that's about it. That feels good to me.
Mhm.
And, at the end of the day, I have a political show where I can have a moment of inspiration. That's why I would love for you to call in and give people 5 minutes,
Mhm.
just 5 minutes to get them on their way before we start talking about all the politics of the day. Because remember, Jesus was killed by the state. He was not killed because he was passing out flowers. He was killed by the state. He was killed because he was stirring up the people and forcing them to fight for justice. And so when I see that, that's inspiring to me because my religion compels me to be political. I don't shape my politics around my religion. I believe that people should have more than enough to eat. I grew up in Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church under Reverend Clay Evans. And he said, I've never heard God make a mouth that he couldn't feed. So that means you're anti-poverty. That means you're anti-hunger. Okay? That means you believe everyone needs to be clothed, housed, fed. If you need health care, the best health care, you ought to be able to go to Northwestern or the Mayo Clinic. So I believe in all of those things. And I needed a platform musically, phonetically, in terms of my speech, to be able to do that. And now I can finally see that.
I think the speaking part is what you needed more other than the singing, because singing is good. I grew up singing in apostolic and just being one of the lead singers and then recording, but it was more. And that spoken word, being able to speak to people and encourage them, gave me the platform to empty my spirit. And out of the mouth, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And God, there's a lot in you. A lot has been planted in you, Santita, from childhood. Being around your parents, there's more in you. You are Christ-like. You're striving to be more like him.
I'm trying. Well, you know, when I say I'm trying, I think that many of us become spiritually lazy.
I agree.
You know, we go to church and we want you to do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like vocalizing or practicing. I think it was Van Cliburn, the classical pianist. He said, you know, they asked him, "Why do you practice every day?" He said, "On the first day I don't practice, I hear it. The second day you hear it. But your spiritual muscle is that way."
Yeah.
And when I went away to college, the only thing my father asked me to do was it was this just one more thing moment before I walked out the door. He said, "Daddy, just one more thing," literally. I said, "Yes, Daddy." He said, "Daddy just needs you to do one thing," and he pulled me off to the side. They were loading up the car because we were going to drive to Washington. This is when they were at the air pilot strike. My heavens! And he said, "All I'm going to ask of you is that you find a church."
Go,
And
Rev.
I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay," because I went to church every Sunday. And he said, "No, no, no, baby. The storms of life hit, and they hit without warning. And if your soul is not anchored in the Lord, you're going to drift away."
Amen.
He said, "And I would not have done my job, and I would not be able to live with that. So I need you to find a church. That's the first thing that I need you to do. Like on Sunday, be in church." I was like, "Okay, yeah, be at chapel." Of course.
So
I'm
I'm sure
I was not at chapel, and my father was at chapel. He'd flown in, and I said, because I never disobeyed my parents. And I said, "Oh, Daddy, I'm so sorry." I said, "I just wanted to sleep in the day." He said, "I understand." He said, "Baby, don't do that again." Plus, I spoke with Dr. Norris, who directs the choir, and he said that you're in the chorale, and he wants you to be. Girl, stop.
Yes. So go and ask your questions, ladies.
Yes, you're talking pretty much very similar. What school? What undergraduate school are you speaking of?
Oh, Howard University. Did you go there?
My daughter is there now, and she
Wow.
attends the church. She's in the choir.
Yeah.
She's doing all of those things because of the
Wow.
core of her mother, the core of me, the core of the community at the Apostolic Church of God, and all that she is. And so I told her the same thing. I said, "Don't drop, but continue." And she sought out many churches, conferences, and things that she had in her. She sought those things out because she didn't know any other way. And so when we say Christ-like, we must be mindful that Christ-like may not mean perfected, because we are not perfected. But
As long
Christ-like
as we're in
means
these
that
bodies.
we cannot identify with any other superior divine entity outside of Christ. That's who we are. That's how we are identified in. And that's where the grace and mercy comes in.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the grace and mercy covers us in such a way.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share that for the listening audience, that we must be always suited and mindful that the grace and mercy of God, I call them the twins, is always with us throughout our whole journey.
Absolutely.
And so the doors that open, the doors that close, and even the raising of who we are is all suited. And our destinies aren't written by us, but they're written for us.
Right. Amen, Yulissa. That was a good segue into Stacy's question as well.
So I want to flip the script a little bit, because I want to talk a little bit more about your walk, right? Because listening to you, having grown up under not only the leadership, but this is your dad and your mom, and these are civil rights leaders.
Yeah.
These are people that made change for us as a people, right?
For us.
So of course I was reading all about you before you came. And so one of the things that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me was that you were Michelle Obama's, were you maid of honor? Okay. So I want to ask you, because of your walk with your parents, how did that feel for you that your friend and her husband ended up in the White House? How was that? What was that feeling like for you? Because I know how we all felt like when President Obama was elected, but like, what did that feel like for you, coming from such a family with a rich legacy in the Lord? Not necessarily politics, but in the Lord and
Well, in
servant leadership.
politics, because Reverend Runs made what he did not just possible; it made it a reality.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't think of it that way. I think because, well, let me say this: I'm enormously proud of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I've grown up in public life, and as my father put it, there's a lot of private pain in public life,
Mm.
and many people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember Kitty Dukakis, whose husband was the eventual nominee the last time my father ran for president.
Right.
Um, in the fall, just before the election, she went to Minnesota. I said, "Oh boy, she went to Hazelden." Many people didn't know what Hazelden was, but because I was really struggling with weight issues, I wanted to go away. I said, I've got to deal with my weight because this is just it's too much." And maybe I have an eating disorder. I need to just go away for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that she had an alcohol problem.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that was known when we were running, but you knew you didn't discuss that sort of thing. But you saw her struggling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've seen a lot of people, because I understand backstage.
Mm-hmm.
I understand getting on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
even though my mother never let us stay backstage
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't want us to see certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there's always a story behind the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very enormously proud of them, and I just prayed for them because it's hard to it's you're excited for our people in that moment, but you're very clear
Mm-hmm.
that this is a tough road.
Oh my.
And it's a lot. I remember my mother ran for first lady, so I know what she went through.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what the first ladies of our churches go through.
Mm-hmm.
I know what the wives of prominent men go through.
Mm-hmm.
I know what wives, period, go through. Because if you get a man or if you just have a boyfriend, everybody wants him.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to deal with all of that. If we're going to keep it 100, let's do that. And
Especially a prominent man.
no, not especially. Honey, he could be Peg Leg Bates.
Amen.
And there's nothing wrong with that because he made a living.
Mm-hmm.
That having been said, I think that we have to be very honest about the fact that in life, there are no free lunches.
Mm-hmm.
You pay
Yeah.
for everything that you
Pay the
get.
cost.
So I was proud of her, but I also knew that she had assumed a tremendous burden, whether she knew it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked to them in many years, but I just knew that this was really it wasn't even about them, it was about our people. My father would say when he was running for president, I've got to do this right, because if I don't do it, I let all of our people down.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm on the Phil Donahue show, when I'm on Meet the Press, when I'm on Face the Nation, when I'm on CNN, when I'm on MSNBC, when I'm on Al Jazeera, when I'm anywhere, I'm holding up our people. And that's what I expect you to do.
Amen.
So what are you going to do in defense of our people? Because our people surely need defending.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
So
Yes, they do.
all of our lives, no, I never thought about singing a song that would be insulting to our people.
Mm-hmm.
I had the privilege of having Jackie Robinson stay in our home about a year before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And my father was like a little child,
Mhm.
right? He was like, Jackie's coming. And I was like, the only Jackie I knew was Jackie Jackson from Jackson 5 and my mama. So I didn't know who he was talking about, but it was Jackie Robinson. And he was coming to the house. Long story short, he was about 52. He looked like he was almost 100.
My.
He was blind, advanced diabetes. He was gravely, gravely ill. But he had paid such a price carrying our people.
Yeah.
But he was willing to
On
do
his
it.
back.
Well, he was willing and standing tall.
Yeah.
And if I can give that to anyone, whatever you do, whether you're teaching, if you're collecting garbage, if you don't think garbage people are important, let them go on strike.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you
That's
don't think the
good.
person who cleans a toilet bowl is important, go to a toilet that's unclean.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what I think we should have learned during COVID, but we didn't. These frontline workers who couldn't get a mask.
Yeah.
These people for whom we have so much contempt, and maybe because my great grandmother was a maid and she couldn't read or write, but we had to beg her to go vote for Daddy because she didn't want to do it because she was so proud of him. But she didn't want to have to admit to the world that she couldn't sign an X.
My God.
So God has given me that sweep
Yeah.
to live with.
Wow.
And, and then to go sit with President Macron in France and
Mhm.
get the Legion of Honor, which is what he got. But that wasn't for him. And he said that. It was for all of us.
Yes.
You know what? 30 minutes is not enough
Yes,
for
it is.
Santita
Have
Jackson.
we even played any music?
No, we won't play any music in the first half an hour. No music needed. Because I'm like sitting here
My
listening
beautiful lady.
and wanting to continue to listen.
Yes.
However,
But you have, now tell us
I
what you're
will
going to be
bring-
doing.
so so much. I'm going to be doing a new television series on Roku. iHeart is on the same platform. I'm going to have Santita on, my co-host. It's amazing. Just verbally signed the contract yesterday. And just so much more. I'm going to be working with this lady more. Thank you, cousin Pilot Barry Batson, for
We are
hooking
so
us up
proud
together.
of you.
We're
We're so
very
proud
of
of you,
Yes.
Barry. Even though when we get off here, I'll tell you what he did to me.
Okay.
Yes. And I
Well,
just want to
thank
say
you
one
so
other thing.
much. We're going to wind down this segment. Go on and say once
To my
One
Facebook
thing,
Live people.
One thing I just want to say: too much is given,
much is required. Period.
Are you
Well,
giving
thank
me
you
marching
so
orders?
much for
Girl,
tuning
get
in
out.
to the Hour of Inspiration. Do not touch that dial. We will be right back.
Love you, Sharon.
Love you, Santita.
Love y'all. I hope you
Girl,
all enjoyed
you
it.
gotta come back. I can't wait for the television taping.